Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Alert. For more than 2 decades, one of the most debated topics in the world of speculative investing has been the Iraqi dinar. All across YouTube, Telegram groups, and financial forums, you hear the same powerful claim. One day, the Iraqi dinar will revalue, and 1 dinar will equal $1. For some, this isn't just a theory. It's a dream. People have bought millions of dinars, hoping a sudden revaluation will instantly make them millionaires. But here's the real question: is it economically possible? Not emotionally, not politically, and not based on rumors. We're going to examine this using real economics, real central banking policy, and real currency mechanics. We'll analyze what the dinar actually is, why its value collapsed, how currencies really gain value, and what a revaluation truly means. By the end, you'll clearly understand the difference between a currency revaluation and a financial myth. To understand the future of the Iraqi dinar, we have to go back to the past. And surprisingly, many people don't know this. The Iraqi dinar was once one of the strongest currencies in the world. In the late 1970s and 1980s, 1 Iraqi dinar was worth about $3.20. Yes, stronger than the British pound. Why? Because at that time, Iraq had massive oil exports, a low population, huge foreign reserves, and a state-controlled economy with minimal imports. Iraq was an oil giant, and oil was priced in dollars. This gave the Iraqi central bank a huge inflow of foreign currency. And here's a very important economic concept. A currency gets strong when other countries need your exports more than you need their imports. Back then, Iraq exported oil to the world while importing very little. As a result, demand for the dinar increased. The government also tightly controlled the money supply, meaning they didn't print excessive currency. This combination kept the dinar extremely valuable. But everything changed in 1990. In 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait. The international response was immediate, and the United Nations imposed extremely severe sanctions. Here's what those sanctions did. Iraq could no longer freely sell its oil, foreign reserves were frozen, the banking system was isolated, trade nearly stopped, and the inflow of US dollars completely collapsed. Now, think carefully. If a country stops earning foreign currency, what happens to its own currency? It collapses. The Iraqi government then made a catastrophic decision. To fund government spending, salaries, and military costs, they started printing huge amounts of dinars. This created hyperinflation. By the mid-1990s, $1 was worth about 3,000 Iraqi dinars. The dinar had lost more than 99.9% of its value. This wasn't because of some conspiracy. It was simple economics. Too much money plus too little economic production equals a currency collapse. This event is incredibly important because it created the modern Iraqi dinar structure we see today. After the 2003 Iraq War, Saddam Hussein's currency notes were replaced. The Central Bank of Iraq introduced a new Iraqi dinar. Now, this is an important detail. This was not a revaluation. It was a currency replacement or a redenomination of the notes, not their value. Old notes were exchanged for new ones, but the purchasing power stayed nearly the same. The new exchange rate stabilized at around 1,200 to 1,500 dinars per US dollar. And this is where many dinar investors misunderstand something critical. They believe that because the dinar was once worth over $3, it will return to that value again. But currencies just don't work like that. A currency isn't like a broken machine that goes back to its default settings. Its value depends on things like GDP, trade balance, productivity, foreign reserves, and monetary policy. And this brings us to the most important concept in this entire discussion: money supply. This is the single biggest reason that economists reject the $1 dash to dash one dash dinar theory. Let's simplify. Today, Iraq has approximately 80 trillion or more Iraqi dinars in circulation. Now, just imagine for a second, if one Iraqi dinar equaled $1, then Iraq's total currency value would be 80 trillion US. For comparison, the entire US economy, its GDP, is about $27 trillion. All the physical US dollars in circulation in the whole world add up to about 2.3 trillion. So if the dinar became 1-to-1 with the dollar, Iraq's currency system would instantly become the most valuable in human history, even stronger than the United States, without having the world's largest economy. That is economically impossible. Currencies cannot exceed the real productive capacity of their economy. This fact alone is why most professional economists say that a $1 dinar cannot happen under the current monetary structure, but supporters argue something else. They claim there will be a sudden RV or a revaluation event. So let's analyze that. What is a currency revaluation, really? A revaluation is a policy action by a central bank. It means the central bank officially raises the value of its currency against foreign currencies. But here's the truth. Reevaluations are always small and controlled. For example, China might adjust the yuan by 1 to 3%. Kuwait might adjust its dinar slightly. The Saudi riyal remains pegged. No country has ever increased its currency's value by 100,000% overnight. Yet, the dinar theory requires exactly that. The current rate is about 1,310 dinars to $1. To reach $1, the dinar would have to increase in value by about 130,000%. No central bank in modern financial history has ever done this. Why? Because it would absolutely destroy their own economy. Let's explain why. Many investors assume that a stronger currency automatically makes a country richer. This is incorrect. In fact, a currency that's too strong can be disastrous. Here's why. Iraq's economy depends almost entirely on oil exports. Oil is sold internationally in US dollars. If the Iraqi dinar suddenly became worth $1, Iraqi oil would instantly become extremely expensive on the global market. Foreign buyers would just shift to other producers like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Russia, or the United States. Iraq would lose its oil customers. Government revenue would collapse, unemployment would skyrocket, and the budget deficit would explode. So, the Central Bank of Iraq would never intentionally make its own exports uncompetitive. Central banks exist to protect their country's exports, not destroy them. That's why they maintain a managed exchange rate, not a sudden, massive revaluation. This leads to the biggest confusion of all, the difference between a revaluation and a redenomination. Many dinar investors mix up these two completely different terms. A revaluation, or RV, means the currency's purchasing power actually increases. A redenomination, often called a lop or lopping zeros, is when the numbers on the banknotes change, but the value stays the same. For example, a 1,000 dinar note becomes a 1 dinar note. But prices also divide by 1,000. Your actual wealth doesn't change. Countries like Turkey, Brazil, and Romania have all done this. In fact, Iraq has discussed redenomination before removing 3 zeros from its currency. If they did implement this, a 1,000 dinar note would become 1 new dinar. But the exchange rate would adjust accordingly. So, people holding physical dinars wouldn't suddenly become rich. This is crucial because many people think that removing zeros means massive profit. It does not. It's simply a change in accounting, not a change in value. Understanding this difference is key to seeing the reality of the situation. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow for more insights.